July is BIPOC Mental Health Month, a month created by B.B. Moore Campbell to bring awareness to the unique mental health challenges experienced by Black, Indigenous, and other people of color. In addition to the traumas and mental health challenges that everyone experiences, BIPOC people also have to contend with living under white supremacy, with living in a world that doesn't value or see you as the same. Today I want to talk about racial trauma. I was inspired to make this video yesterday while I was out enjoying the natural surroundings of beautiful Lake Winnisquam. So join me as I discuss my personal experiences and share some footage of my trip yesterday. A few weeks ago, I made a celebratory post about Juneteenth. The post gave a brief background of this long-standing holiday within the United States and also encouraged everyone to heal from racism. It came as no surprise to me that some people became defensive at that message and chose to laugh react at the post. Now, I know that this is just an innate part of social media. When you put something out in the public, you really are opening yourself up for all sorts of reactions. But I had time that day, and so I decided to keep track of who was laugh reacting, just kind of screenshotting their profile, because this is all public information, and including it within the comments of the original post. After reflecting on that, I then made a TikTok video just kind of sharing my extreme exhaustion at having to deal with these sorts of things. And I made a statement around how in every relationship I've ever had with a white person, any kind of relationship, racism has always been present. And when I said that, I wasn't exaggerating. And it got me thinking about some of my earlier experiences with racial trauma. And I have memories that go back even before these experiences that I'll share with you, but these are ones that I think were really formative for me. So the first experience was I was around the age of 8 or 9 and had been invited to go to a show called Ice Capades, which takes place at an arena. It's like a figure skating performance show, generally for a younger audience. Uh, I didn't get to participate in stuff like that too often because my family was very poor. We didn't have money to enjoy activities such as this. So I was so excited to have this chance to experience something like that. And, it was a kid's dream come true, lots of sweets and treats and light up toys and everything. And I thoroughly had a great time. And I was with my older brother and sister at the same time. They were within a few years of me being older than me. And so leaving that event with just a feeling of joy and excitement, and we're driving back home with the person who invited us, and we're sitting in the back seat of the car. And this was around the time that Wayne's World came out, because I remember we were listening to that Queen song and it was just like on repeat on the local radio station, and we were all just like singing along and having a wonderful time. Well, out of nowhere, somebody cuts off uh, the driver of the person that invited us, who was driving the car, cuts them off, and with no hesitation, within nanoseconds, this person yells out the N word in a very aggressive and insulting way towards the other driver. Now, mind you, I'm sitting in the back seat with my siblings. We're Black, and you just freeze in that moment, especially being the age that I was, around 8 or 9 years old. I didn't know exactly what to do or say. All I knew is that I was extremely, extremely hurt that an adult who had been entrusted with our care would use such a vicious, violent word in a way, in that way, or in any way. And so there was this really dense silence that seemed to go on forever after this person said the word. And then there was an anxious apology because this person recognized the damage that they had done. And the vibe that I got was more so they weren't sorry for the harm that they had caused to us, but more so sorry for the potential consequences that would come next. Because obviously, we would go back and tell our father, and my father would be well within his rights to deal with it in a reasonable manner. So that was a very painful experience for me, really traumatized me because it happened during a time where I was supposed to be escaping from the harsh realities of the world. And yet those harsh realities came smacking right back into my face. Um the next experience that really stands out to me happened around the same time period. Again, me and my younger siblings that were older than me, we were over somebody's house with our mother, and this person was very upset with our mother, very upset with just, the general circumstances, was, had a raised voice, using harsh language. And then out of nowhere, they referred to my father as a black bastard, knowing again that we're black. Me and my siblings are black. We are young. We're there. We're listening. We're taking this in. And again, I just got this like, oh, overall, just feeling of extreme sadness and hurt. Like I had to actually feel it in my chest and my stomach. And at that age, you just aren't equipped to have to deal with behavior like that. Um, and so nothing was said or done either by the other adults that were present at the time. So I invite you, after hearing of those two experiences, to kind of step back and think about if that were you in that situation, if you were a young 8 or 9 year old child who is in the presence of adults that, should be setting a role model, or should be acting like as a role model, setting that example for acceptable behavior, and they are attacking things about you that you can't control. um, I invite you to imagine what that would feel like, not just emotionally, but like in your body. Your security and safety is being threatened in that moment, and your body's going to have a natural response to that. And then to layer on top, there is the emotional and mental response that you're going to have as well. And then how does that shape how you view not only those people, but other people like them? So definitely encourage you, if you need to pause and take the time to really reflect on it and really dig deep, to imagine what it would be like in that situation. Now, imagine if those people were your biological family. They were your mother's sister and your mother's father. The family is supposed to be a source of safety and security for you. So if you can't even experience that with your white family members, then there is no reasonable expectation that you can experience it with other white people outside of your family. I know oftentimes when white people are challenged on their racism, they often resort to saying things like, well, I can't be racist. I have a black family member. I have a black friend. And I'm here to tell you that you can still be racist and have black partners, black children, Black best friends. It does not make you immune to racism. And again, it didn't start or stop there. I continue to experience racial trauma again in every uh, relationship that I've had with white people. I also grew up in predominantly white spaces, so it was even more intense and elevated for me. So whether it was in school, if I was experiencing it at the hands of my classmates or even the teachers as well, or if it was as I started dating and I had not one, not two partners tell me that if their families found out that they were dating a black girl, that they would be very upset, they'd be angry, and one even went as far as to say that they would kill him. I or whether you experience it in the workplace, I experienced it in the religious group that I grew up in. Um, it truly is everywhere. And so this is why BIPOC people really need spaces for them to come together and heal that provide safety and security. Because even the most well meaning white person has racist beliefs that are so deeply embedded in them that they don't have awareness to how their behavior is racist and they cannot stop or control or prevent themselves from exerting more racial trauma. I encourage you to continue reflecting on racial trauma and what it does to someone's mind, body, and spirit over time. These same wounded people are then asked and forced to seek care, quote unquote, care in the same spaces that harmed them, especially in predominantly white areas of the country, the United States. There is a real dearth of BIPOC mental health care providers, which is why community based mental health programs and organizations are so important. And I encourage you to become an advocate for such organizations and support them in a variety of ways. I'll close by saying this. I share these stories because it's part of my healing. I am a person who does find it cathartic to talk about these experiences. However, I do not want to encourage the expectation that BIPOC people must share their racial trauma with you in order to provide some legitimacy to the causes that will help with their mental care. BIPOC people shouldn't have to continuously share their racial trauma in order to be believed. Thank you for listening today.